I would like to keep this under $10,000. 10 words, said politely at a bank counter by someone who has never broken a law in their life. And those 10 words can freeze your account, put a report with your name on it into a federal system that you are never allowed to see, and in the worst cases, cost you the money itself. Not because you did anything wrong, because of how you said it. And this is what catches good people off guard. Your bank is not only a place that holds your money. By law, it is also required to watch it and to report certain things about you. And it is forbidden from telling you when it does. So the words you choose at that counter matter far more than anyone ever explains. There are 3 sentences in particular that older people say all the time, believing they sound careful and responsible, and every one of them can turn an ordinary transaction into a problem that takes weeks to undo. So I am going to give you all 3, tell you exactly what the person behind the counter hears when you say them, and give you the plain words to use instead. And I want to start with the first one, because it is the only one where the sentence itself is the offense. Let me say it again. I would like to keep this under $10,000. Now here is what almost nobody understands. There is a rule that says when more than $10,000 in cash moves through your account in a single day, the bank files a routine report. Millions of these are filed every year. For an honest person, that report goes into a file and absolutely nothing ever comes of it. It is paperwork. It is not an accusation, and it is not an audit. But the moment you deliberately arrange your money to stay underneath that line, you have crossed into something entirely different. Breaking up your own money into smaller amounts to avoid that report is by itself a federal crime. It has a name in the law, and it carries penalties of up to 5 years in prison. And I want you to hear the cruelest part of this clearly. It does not matter one bit that the money is clean. It can be money you earned, money you inherited, money your own children gave you. If you split it up to stay under the line, the splitting is the crime, all on its own. And it is not only a criminal matter. The government can seize that money through a process that does not even require them to charge you with anything. Let me show you what that looks like with a real person, because this is not a hypothetical. In Iowa, a woman named Carol Hinders ran a small Mexican restaurant for nearly 40 years. Cash business. She did not take credit cards, so she deposited her daily cash takings at the bank. And because a small restaurant does not make $10,000 in a day, her deposits naturally came in under that line. Day after day, year after year. She was not hiding anything. She was simply banking what she earned. One morning, federal agents came to her home and told her they had taken every dollar in her business account, roughly $33,000, her life savings from that restaurant. She was never charged with a crime because she had not committed one. The deposits themselves, the pattern of them, was the entire case. It took a legal fight and a great deal of public attention before that money was returned to her. And in the meantime, she had to borrow to keep the restaurant open. And she was not alone. Hers was one of a number of cases where ordinary people, farmers, shop owners, a family running a small convenience store, all had their accounts emptied for the same reason. Not one of them was accused of selling anything illegal, or hiding income, or cheating anyone. In every case, the government looked at a long row of deposits that happened to fall under the line and decided that the pattern itself was proof enough. The lesson those families learned the hard way is the lesson I want you to have for free. It is not the amount that draws attention. It is any sign that you were thinking about the line at all. She did nothing wrong. Her only mistake was a pattern that a computer found interesting. So here is your rule, and it is simple. Never say anything about staying under a limit. Never ask how to avoid the report. And never split a large sum into smaller trips. What you say instead is the plain truth. I would like to withdraw $12,000. I am paying a contractor for a new roof. That is it. Say the real amount in one transaction and let them file whatever routine paperwork they need to file, because that paperwork has never hurt an honest person. That report is harmless. The avoiding is what is dangerous. Walk in honest and open, and you are simply a customer moving your own money. Now the second sentence, and this one has become the most common of the three, because the world has changed. Someone told me to send it. Or it is for a friend I met online. Or they said I need to move it right away to keep it safe. When a teller hears any version of that from an older customer, something specific happens behind the counter. Banks now have rules and training built around protecting older people from being cheated. If they reasonably believe an older customer is being taken advantage of, they are allowed to put a temporary hold on the money. Not for an hour. It can run for days, and with an extension, longer. Now, I want to be fair about this, because it is not the villain it sounds like. That rule exists because thousands of older Americans really are talked out of their savings every year by people who are very good at it. That hold has saved people from losing everything they had, but it does not know the difference between a stranger running a scheme and your own daughter asking for help. It hears the shape of the sentence. Someone else is directing this money. That is the trigger. So think of a man sending money to his own son who is buying a first house. If he says at the counter, "My son told me to send this today," he has said the exact shape of the sentence the training is built to catch. Someone told him, "It is urgent. It is going out fast. Nothing about it is wrong, and it can still put a hold on the money. And now the closing is at risk." What you say, instead, is the relationship and the reason. I am wiring money to my son for the down payment on his house. Or, this is going to my granddaughter for her tuition. Name the person, name their relation to you, and name what the money buys. That single change turns a warning sign into an ordinary family transaction. And if the person behind the counter still asks you a few more questions after that, do not take it as an insult. And please, do not let it fluster you. They are following a script that somebody in an office wrote for them, and they are asking every older customer the same things. Answer them the same calm way, in ordinary words, and you will be on your way. The customers who run into real trouble are almost never the ones who answered plainly. They are the ones who got angry, or went vague, or changed their story halfway through, because the questions made them feel accused. And there is one more piece of this worth carrying with you. If anyone, on a telephone or a screen, ever tells you to move your money and not to tell your bank what it is really for, that is not advice. That is the scheme itself. No honest person will ever ask you to lie to your own bank. Now the third sentence, and this is the smallest one, but it does the most damage in the moment. I would rather not say, "You are perfectly within your rights to feel that way. It is your money." Nobody enjoys being questioned about their own savings by a stranger half their age, and I understand exactly why an older person, asked what the money is for, feels their back go up. It is undignified. It should not be necessary. But here is what happens the second those words are spoken. The person in front of you now has to write something, and when the field for the reason is left empty, or the customer declined to explain, that is what goes into the record. To the reviewer who reads it later, refusing to answer looks far worse than any answer you could have given. There is no ordinary explanation that raises more suspicion than no explanation at all. So do not fight the question, and do not let it wound your pride. Answer it in one boring sentence and move on. I am buying a car. It is for medical bills. I am helping my daughter. That is all it takes, and the whole thing ends right there at the counter. And now let me give you the two things that stop nearly all of this from ever starting. The first is to call ahead. If you know a large withdrawal or transfer is coming, telephone your branch a few days before. Tell them the amount and what it is for, and ask them to make a note of it on your account. A transaction the bank is expecting is a transaction the bank does not stop. It turns what could be a week of held money into a 5-minute conversation you already had. The second is to name a trusted contact on your account. This is a free form. It is a person the bank is permitted to telephone if something about your account ever worries them. Naming a son, a daughter, or an old friend does not give that person 1 penny of access, and it doesn't let them move your money. It simply gives the bank a human being to call instead of locking the account and waiting. It costs nothing. It takes about 10 minutes at the branch or on the telephone, and for a person who lives alone, it is one of the most useful pieces of paper you will ever sign. That one form is the difference between someone picking up the phone and someone freezing your money. So let me put the 3 of them together simply one last time. Never talk about staying under a limit. Say the real amount and let them file their paperwork. Never say that someone told you to send it. Name the person, name the relationship, name what it is for. And never refuse to explain. Give one ordinary sentence and the matter is closed. Everything I have told you today comes down to a single idea. The money is not the problem. Your money is fine. The pattern and the wording are what get read by people and by computers, and they are read by strangers who do not know you and will never meet you. So give them nothing to wonder about. Be the plainest, most boring customer in the branch, and you will walk out with your own money and never think about any of this again. And if you know someone who is planning a large withdrawal soon, for a car, for a roof, to help one of their children, please send this to them before they go. 5 minutes of the right words is all that stands between an ordinary morning at the bank and a very long month.